Hello, and welcome to my inaugural podcast episode. I appreciate your support, so please consider liking and subscribing to my YouTube channel. In today's episode, I'll delve into an intriguing topic: training a GPT model to generate text in a specific writer style and how it can be leveraged in overcoming writer's block. Imagine an enthralling scenario where the legendary writer and playwright Sir William Shakespeare encounters a creative impasse. In this hypothetical scenario, we'll explore how Shakespeare, if he were alive today and had access to a GPT model, could harness its potential to overcome this obstacle called writer's block. Together, we'll explore the possibilities of this collaboration between the brilliance of Shakespeare's mind and the power of modern technology. In this podcast, for demonstration purposes, I have utilized a Dell laptop with an i7 processor and 16 GB of RAM. For fine tuning purposes, I'm using a GPT-2 model, a language model developed by OpenAI. To make our journey smoother, I will be leveraging GPT-2 Simple, a Python library thoughtfully crafted by the community. This library streamlines the GPT-2 experience, offering an accessible interface for tasks like model integration, text generation, and even fine tuning. With GPT-2 Simple, we can bypass the intricacies and dive right into the creative process. Let's begin. The number 124M that you see on your screen refers to a GPT-2 model with 124 million parameters. The size of the model directly affects its complexity, capabilities, and the quality of the generated text. The tiny Shakespeare dataset is a subset of Shakespeare's complete works, containing a limited amount of text. It's often used for testing and development purposes due to its small size, making it more manageable for experimentation and quick iterations. I intend to employ this initial phrase, to be or not to be, that is the question, which forms the lines from Shakespeare's famous work Hamlet. Remarkably, the tiny Shakespeare dataset I'm utilizing excludes any content from the play Hamlet. If we hypothetically envision that Shakespeare himself has just begun composing Hamlet and is grappling with creative obstacle, impeding progress beyond the words to be or not to be, that is the question. We will subsequently ask our fine-tuned model to generate a 100 token text snippet inclusive of the provided seed text. I have completed the fine-tuning of the GPT-2 model, conducting runs with varying numbers of iterations: 1, 2, 10, 100, 500, and 1000. For the upcoming demonstration, my approach involves loading one model at a time and observing the text it generates, guided by the initial seed text provided. To be or not to be, that is the question. Regarding the text generation settings, I have configured the parameters as followed. I have set the length to 100 tokens, which instructs the model to produce 100 tokens of text, including the seed text. Additionally, I have specified a temperature of zero point 0.7. It's worth noting that this temperature parameter plays a crucial role in determining the randomness of the generated output. Low temperature values tend to result in more deterministic outputs that closely resemble what the model has learned during the training, whereas higher temperature values introduce more randomness and unpredictability into the generated text. I would say more creativity. Okay, I'll initiate the base GPT-2 model without any prior training and see the text it produces with the seed text provided to be or not to be? That is the question. I'll proceed to execute the GPT-2 model that has undergone 10 iterations of training on the Shakespearean text and see what it generates for the same seed text. Now, I'll proceed to execute the GPT-2 model that has undergone 100 iterations of training on the Shakespearean text and see its outcome. I'll now proceed to execute the GPT-2 model that has undergone 500 iterations of training on the Shakespearean text and see the outcome. Finally, I'll execute the GPT-2 model that has undergone 1000 iterations of training on the Shakespearean text and see what it generates based on the seed text to be or not to be. That is the question. Let's assess the text generated throughout the fine-tuning process at different iterations. When observing the text produced by the base model without any fine-tuning, it's evident that it repetitively echoes the same sentence almost 3 times. After 10 iterations of training, the text exhibits a semblance of Shakespearean structure but falls short in the style of writing. If you look at the output after 100 iterations, the structure matures slightly, with names resembling those used by Shakespeare. With 500 iterations, the structure remains similar to the 100 iteration generated text, but the language becomes a bit more sophisticated, though the first 2 lines are longer than typical Shakespearean writing. Finally, a review of the model fine-tuned for 1000 iteration reveals a more matured style and structure, yielding text that captures a basic Shakespearean essence. In conclusion, this podcast I have showcased the process of training a GPT-2 model with a focus on Shakespearean writing. Throughout the demonstration, together we have explored its potential in terms of education, creative simulation, technical insights, real-world application, learning process, and as a source of inspiration for content creators leveraging AI technology. I appreciate your viewership on this podcast. Please stay tuned for the upcoming episode where I'll delve into a real world case study within the realm of education. Until then, farewell. Don't forget to show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel so that you'll be alerted when new content is released. Goodbye.